Hello everyone, Cannon Lowy here with World of Tanks, and I'm going to be starting a new video type series called World of Tanks Basics. Since I haven't really been playing World of Tanks much anymore, as a lot of things in the game that have really bugged me over time. So just a quick background of who I am in World of Tanks is that I have 28,000 battles and a 52.5% win rate, and I have roughly 20 tier 10s, something like that. But in this episode of World of Tanks Basics, we're going to look at artillery. Artillery, or self-propelled guns, as they are sometimes called, SPG, in-game, they are represented by the square icon. So if you ever see a square on the minimap or in the tech tree, that means they are SPGs. There is actually only four different lines of SPGs at the moment, and that would be the American line up at the top here. They had actually split for tier 3 and 4 for some reason, but it goes all the way up to the T92 HMC. The Germans go up along the top here as well, and they go to the GWE 100. The Russian line that goes from the SU-18 all the way to the Object 261, or you can go from the KV-2 to the S-51, which is the way that I went, to the Object 261 through the S-51 there, and then the United Kingdom with going to the Conqueror gun carriage. So those are the four different lines of SPGs. They're probably the least numerous tanks in the tech tree, since they haven't really been adding any new SPGs into the game. So what are SPGs? Well, SPGs, or artillery, are basically vehicles that can fire across the map and indirectly damage vehicles. And because of this, a lot of people do not actually like facing artillery because they don't like the idea of someone sniping from across the map hitting them. So basically, what makes SPGs unique besides that? Well, they actually have the lowest amount of hit points and generally the lowest amount of armor out of all the tank classes, including some of the light tanks in some cases, in the armor respect. So they have extremely low hit points. You're probably going to get killed in 2 hits from anything equal tier, and sometimes even lower tier than you. They don't always have the best mobility, but the Object 261 and the Batchat 155-58 are okay in mobility, so they're kind of on the slower end of mobility. Their concealment isn't that great because they're usually really big because they have big guns on them, and they have the lowest view range by far. This Object 261 has 300 meters view range. I don't have 100% commander right now. He's 96%, but even if he was 100%, I would only have 300 meter view range. And to give you something to compare to, let's just say the Super Conqueror, the tier 10 United Kingdom heavy tank. He has 400 meters base view range, so essentially you can't really spot anything for yourself unless your camo rating, which isn't usually that great, allows you to be concealed until they're close enough where you both see each other. So basically everything about artillery isn't really that great. But the special thing is their guns. Now, artillery have the lowest accuracy out of all of the classes. For an example, the Object 261, which is actually the most accurate artillery or at least at tier 10, has 0.59 dispersion. To give you another example, the KV-2 at Tier 6, notorious for its huge 152mm gun, has 0.6 accuracy. So it's only 0.01 point better, and even his aiming time is better, and reload time is better. So basically, the Object 261, even if you look at the damage here, the KV-2 essentially does the same damage, and actually in many cases more damage than this Tier 10 artillery, even though that the KV-2 is at Tier 6. So the damage dealing potential of artillery has been significantly reduced when they added the stun mechanics to their guns. Like, even though that the object has really low damage and penetration and rate of fire, he has the stunning effect, which the stunning effect is something that artillery get from roughly Tier 6 and above, and that is where you reduce basically everything about an opponent's statistics by roughly 30%, I think it is. I'm not quite sure. But basically, you reduce the effectiveness of your opponent in combat just by hitting near him. Even if they are on the very limit of your splash radius, for an example, the Object 261 has 10-meter blast radius. Even if he was at the very edge, at 10 meters away from your shell, he would still get stunned for that minimum stunning duration of 13 seconds. So basically, artillery are kind of mediocre in most respects, but they do have the unique stunning effect, so do keep that in mind when you are using your artillery pieces, and try to use that to your advantage as best you can, or at least the advantage of your team. For an example, if your team is rushing a group of vehicles, like maybe 3 heavy tanks, and you have like 4 heavy tanks or something that are rushing those 3, try to stun 1 or 2 of them so they have reduced combat effectiveness against your incoming rushing opponents. So that is kind of briefly talking about artillery. So what are they like in battle? Well, let's get into a battle and find out. Now, it does say at the bottom here it may take longer for SPGs to find a battle than other vehicle types, and that is partly because artillery, you can only have 3 on a side. They are limited to how many you can have on a side. Like, for an example, any of these other vehicle types, tank destroyers, light tanks, medium tanks, or heavy tanks, they can have as many. You could have 15 heavy tanks on one side, essentially, if there were that many in the matchmaker. For artillery, you can only have a maximum of 3, and also they have to be equal on both sides. I think they changed the matchmaker somewhat recently to make it so it tries to make it so that the other vehicle classes are also equal. But especially for artillery, you have to have them have the same amount on both sides, unless, for an example, let's just say one side gets 2 tier 10s and maybe the other team will get 3 tier 9s or something. That is also possible. So in the team list, as you can see here, I am the number 3 on the team list, and my icon, the icons in the left hand corner on the left side are red, and that is, I guess, to signify how special they are, I guess, in a matter of speaking. So our team has 3 artillery, which is me, the M53, and the FP207. The enemy side has the Batchat, the M53, and the M4043. So that's what they look like in the team list. Typically, artillery, you should stay in the back, no matter what, pretty much, because, like I said in the garage, you are going to get killed in roughly 2 hits from pretty much anything. Even, well, except for maybe those Batchat 12Ts, but for the most part, you are probably going to get killed in 2 hits, even at tier 10, because your health pool is a lot lower than any other vehicle type. For an example, that tier 9 light tank has 1400 hit points, and I only have 500, even though that I'm a tier higher than him. So I'm going to go over here. I have seen artillery be over here. This isn't really that great of an artillery map, to be honest. So the indirect firing mode that I was mentioning in the garage as well, you have to press left shift in order to activate it, and then you go into the overhead view here. And also when you press G, like, you have a direct overhead view here, but if you press G, it kind of shifts it to being roughly a 45-degree angle. And that can sometimes help you aim over obstacles a little bit better. So that Batchat is just sitting there, so I shot him. And you see the counter above him is the stunning, and he instantly... You can take away stunning if you get stunned by using a medkit consumable. And our team has lost on that side, so I'm going to try to run away to the other side, but I'm probably gonna get killed anyway, so... Typically, if a flank falls, artillery are not fast enough to actually run away from any danger. Except for, well, this artillery is actually somewhat quick enough, but I'm spotted, so I'm probably gonna get killed as soon as I get out more in the open. Going to stay here. And also, artillery will count, it's called counter battery when you are an artillery and you aim for the enemy team's artillery. That's just what they decide to call it, I guess. I think I should aim for this pattern right here. Hit him for 150. Like, the damage output isn't really that great on these high explosive shells. And I'm using a 180mm gun, so essentially I have the same gun as the Death Star, which is notorious for one-shotting a lot of vehicles, but since they added the stunning mechanic, they reduced the damage way down, so you can't really do outstanding amounts of damage in artillery anymore. It's more of that sustained damage over time, I guess. And there is a T-30 that's coming up, a tier 9 tank destroyer, so he can actually one-shot me even though that I'm a tier 10, so that's great. And I typically use the G look down view. I kind of feel like it helps me aim better, so do take advantage of that. And just to remind you, it is left shift in order to actually get into the overhead view, and that was good revenge on the Scorpion Gs. Scorpion Gs are way too numerous in the matchmaker, and really annoying at that, so it was good to take him out. And I am going to aim at this projectile right here, and you see the other artillery aim at him. One good thing about artillery is that you can easily track people with the high explosive blasters. You can see right there, he fixed it, and now I tracked him again, and he is stunned for 17 seconds, and that allowed my T-55A to kill him. So artillery is pretty much forced to play that supporting role where you can track opponents and stuff like that in order to allow your teammates to finish them off, and stunning your opponents as well, to make it so that they are less combat efficient against your allies. So one thing I guess I forgot to mention is that when you are aiming at something, ooh, that was a good hit on the Batchat 12T. When you see a red line, in your aiming, that means it is blocked by some kind of obstacle, usually a building of some sort. But it can be anything, really. So for an example here, I can't aim over this ridge because I'm not far away enough in order to shoot over. So make sure when you're making the shots, make sure the line is green, signifying that you can actually shoot the area that you're aiming at. And now that it's 6 to 12, so... Well, I stunned him. So I'm gonna get killed by this light tank, so... Oh, he failed to kill me with high explosive, that's funny. But yeah, I'm stunned, and yeah. I think I was actually the last one alive, surprisingly. So yeah, as soon as you get targeted, you're probably gonna get killed really quickly. So hopefully that battle was enough to showcase what artillery is like, and apparently I even finished a personal mission. That's really ironic there. And I actually did the highest amount of damage on my entire team, even though that I was artillery. I did more than some Relic guys, which Relic is known for being a high alliance. Well, higher up their alliance, and even more than an Object 140 and an AMX 13105 tier 10s. So that's kind of funny. Okay, one big thing to know is that tier 10 artillery have an extremely large repair cost. As you can see here, I lost 29,000 credits just by repairing my vehicle, and nearly 12,000 with ammunition. And even if I was playing with a premium account, I would have lost money. And I didn't really gain that much experience either. So even though that I did the highest amount of damage on my team, I was nowhere close to paying off that repair bill. And I'm not really sure why Wargaming has such a high repair cost for artillery. Just to give you an idea, 30,000 credits is roughly the amount of credits a repaired mouse costs or a repaired Type 5 heavy costs, and those things have roughly 3,000 hit points. This thing has 500, and it has the same repair cost as that. I think it's kind of to discourage people from playing tier 10 artillery, but at the same time, I don't know. I mean, you're probably going to lose that money by playing other vehicles by spamming premium ammo at everything, so I don't know. Your standard ammo is actually pretty pricey as well. Let me get this. Improve result. Yes. I guess I didn't really talk about the premium ammunition for artillery. You get roughly 1 meter's more blast radius by spending, let's see here, 1100 versus 5200 for 1 meter more blast radius. And so basically you're spending 4 times more for 10% more splash radius. I really do not understand why you would ever fire premium high explosive ammunition out of artillery. Unless you're resetting a cap, then maybe it could be useful, but I've seen people play a lot of these higher tier 9 and 10 artilleries that they fire premium ammunition with every shot, and I really kind of shake my head, and you're spending so much more credits and you only get 1 more meter blast radius, and that's it. So I would say, for especially unless you really want to spend the credits for it, I mean, you can, it's there, but I really do not recommend firing premium ammo. I really, especially in artillery, because I just don't feel like the benefit is that great. I mean, I guess if you're fighting unless there's like a group of vehicles or you're trying to reset a cap, really isn't any advantage to using that ammunition unless you tend to miss a lot. I mean, you could miss a lot and want to fire premium ammunition to slightly reduce your missing chance, but well, anyway, hopefully that was enough to showcase what artillery is sort of like, and whether or not you think that that would be a playstyle for you. Obviously, it's a lot different from any class in the game. I guess the closest you could say is maybe tank destroyers, but you're only firing high explosives, so maybe like an SU-152. Actually, a SU-152 would probably use a high explosive that would be more effective than this artillery is anyway, but that would be the closest thing playstyle-wise to this, so hopefully this helped you discover how to play the basics on playing artillery and whether or not it is a playstyle for you. Thank you very much for watching, and have a wonderful day.